Lunchtime yoga, mindfulness seminars, team building retreats, just some of the ways companies sometimes try to promote well-being at work. But do they actually improve the mental health of employees? One expert argues mental wellness programs often don't address the root problems in workplaces. Joining us now to discuss this is Kevin Lee. He's an assistant professor of organizational behavior and human resources at UBC's Sauder School of Business. Kevin, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. How do mental wellness programs, first, what are the successes and when do they miss the mark?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that mental wellness programs obviously are super important for organizations, right? They're obviously giving people tools and resources to be able to navigate some of the more difficult aspects of the workplace. However, when I make the argument potentially that maybe they're missing the mark in some ways, what I'm arguing essentially is that we're basically trying to address structural problems with individual solutions, right? So the idea generally being that we're giving these people tools to deal with sort of the stresses and difficulties of the workplace, but I think what might be a more sort of effective approach, right, is to actually address the root problem, right? Namely, what's actually causing those stresses, what's causing that burnout, what's causing people to have to seek these tools in the first place, right? And oftentimes those are actually rooted within the organization itself, right? So actually restructuring organizations, rethinking these things, I think can be super effective.
Does it that, I guess, do wellness programs put the onus on the employee to try and fix things, or where's the balance, if there is a balance there?
Absolutely, yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm arguing. Yeah, that I think that these put the onus on the employee themselves, right, to basically become happy, right? And again, I think it's super important, obviously, that people have the tools to be able to do so. But again, thinking more broadly, right, if we were to actually think about the root of the problem, right, could we actually solve these organizationally provoked problems by actually restructuring the organization?
When it comes to wellness programs, sometimes younger employees or newer hires can struggle with navigating what they have access to. How can we help them, do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think what we're starting to see a lot, right, is that especially new generations, especially Gen Z, right, are starting to enter the workforce and are slightly expecting something different from their workplaces, right? And so really, actually, I think opening up our ears, right, actually listening to what sort of they're going through, right, and what sort of problems they're facing within the workplace, I think these are really important aspects of trying to figure out exactly what kinds of solutions and organizational solutions in particular, right, might be most tailored to their experience.
What about, though, and I want to talk about the impact the pandemic has had. Many people were working from home. There were some benefits. There were some drawbacks that people found. In your research, what have you found in terms of the impact that COVID-19 had?
Absolutely, yes. So, as we all know, as we all experienced very intimately, right, the pandemic brought into stark relief what's important to us, right? It really did bring out a lot of the stresses and everyday things that we go through in life. And in a study, as you mentioned, right, in a study with some co-authors of mine, we've been actually looking at what we call the awakenings, right, that people have been having about their work lives and by extension, their personal lives, right? How is it that we normalized this before, right? What do we want in the future, right? And this, what we've been generally finding is that people do want a different sort of contract between themselves and their organization, right? They want their organization to be sensitive to their needs and by extension to be able to be structured in ways that will actually help them to flourish, right? And so again, yeah, I think that's sort of the takeaway from our study.
Kevin Lee, we appreciate your time and your expertise. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Much appreciated.